This is where your coffee comes from.
Coffee is the second most consumed beverage in the world.
Over 2 billion cups are consumed daily.
Today we're in Jarabacoa, a charming mountain town here in the Dominican Republic. We're gonna show you where your coffee is sourced from the tree
to the cup. All right, coffee drinkers, this video is for you. Today, we're visiting Ramirez Coffee Farm. It's about a 30-minute drive up this mountain because coffee grows up on top of the mountain, or at least that's where the best coffee is grown. So we are with Melvin, who does all the tours for the coffee factory. So if you ever come here to Jarabacoa and want to go on a coffee tour, Melvin's your guy. But we're also with Bellamini's. He is the great-grandson of the gentleman who started this coffee business many, many moons ago. He was actually born here, but raised in New York and has now come back here because of his passion for coffee and is working on some really cool projects.
We're going to Los Marranitos, which is a coffee farm in Manabao, which is the entry point to the highest mountain range and peak in the Caribbean, Pico Duarte. And coffee doesn't get better than that in the Dominican Republic.
¿Cómo estás?
Estamos bien, estamos bien.
Mucho gusto.
Gracias, igualmente. Adelante.
Thank you.
So the traditional way to experience coffee in the Dominican Republic is like this. It's called La Media Vieja.
Which means old socks.
The old sock. We're gonna brew some coffee with a local coffee producer, El Bate.
Colar un cafecito, naturalmente del campo, como lo hacían los viejitos anteriores.
So he says we're going to brew some coffee, how we do it in the campo. This is Café Monte Alto right here from the farms that you see around you right now. I'm gonna brew some coffee for you the way my father did. He passed at 94 years old. And all the water that he would drink was actually from his coffee. You're gonna experience now natural coffee that we're gonna get from the coffee farm that we are on now. It's naturally processed right here. He grinded it all by hand, and now he's boiling water over a wood fire so that he can brew the coffee for you. I turn this in my hand so that I can keep the vapor inside of the sock, further extracting the coffee. And as I turn it, I'm able to squeeze out all of its essence and with the vapor. We hope that when you visit us, you're able to understand what a really good cup of coffee means. All right, so salute.
Me gusta mucho. We just enjoyed a lovely cup of coffee here on the farm. And, you know, we talk about this a lot. It's experiences like this that, you know, we just truly crave in the authenticity of cultures. And what's so interesting to me, and I'm learning through this process of being here at the farm today, is that our American society teaches that coffee is to make you go, go, go. You grab your cup of coffee and you go. You wake up in the morning, you have your mid-afternoon cup of coffee. But coffee is actually, or at least used to be, a really slow process, a process that would bring people together, a process that you slow down and you enjoy it from the way that it's brewed to the way that it's consumed. And it's just really super special for us today to be able to sit around the fire here and enjoy coffee the way it was enjoyed way long ago. We're gonna walk and show you where the coffee plants are growing. We are hiking up to the coffee trees, and once we get there, we're gonna talk about where coffee came from.
So how old are these trees here? These trees are about 8 to 15 years old. Some of them, because of the height, it's pretty tall. What's really interesting though, I want to focus on the canopy you see over it. It creates a home, a habitat, and an environment for all the birds you hear right now to live and exist. It is raining a bit, so they're kind of hidden under the shade of it all, but it's the beauty of converting a farm to something that's naturally coexisting in harmony with nature.
The origin of coffee is really interesting. Long ago in Ethiopia, a shepherd noticed his goats jumping with energy after eating red berries from a bush. Curious, he shared the berries with a monk who tried making tea from them. The taste was awful, so the frustrated monk tossed the berries into a fire, only to smell a delightful aroma soon after. He then learned that roasting, grinding, and brewing the seeds made a delicious drink, what we know as coffee.
When we pick the cherries of the coffee seeds very ripe, as you can see, when it's that bright red and not the green, you get a higher quality coffee. It's a very costly and laborious process because instead of mechanically ripping off the unripe and the ripe cherries, we're going to pick only the very best. A lot of the very cheap coffee that we're experiencing in the market for under $10 for a bag is all blended together, ripe and unripe cherries, and they're going to grind that up and roast it really dark so that you can't perceive the differences between the ripe and the unripe cherries.
It is so cool being able to be here at the farm and see how this actually happens from the moment they pick the berries off the tree. And we have something super special for you guys. If you want a chance to try coffee that comes from the farm, stick around to the end of the video and we're gonna show you how. So later on in the video, we're gonna take you to the factory where all of this coffee gets processed, and we're gonna show you how it goes from this to how it ends up in your cup of joe, which is really interesting. And I mean, you can see how much work this is. So this right here is the coffee bean. Just got like a slime on it, mucilage. And they'll take that to the factory, and that will be done in several different ways to dry it out, either by a natural drying process or a wash or honey, multiple different methods to do that. But pretty crazy, right? For all you at home, did you know that coffee was actually a fruit? Pretty crazy.
Fruit.
A superfruit at that.
El Bate wants to ask, which one is sweeter, the red ripe cherry or the one that's a little bit red and a little bit green? So you're gonna try here the slightly ripe, and then, you know, just let us know, is it sweet, how sweet, low, high sweet?
Not a lot of sweetness.
Okay, that's an unripe cherry or slightly ripe cherry. And then this one's much more ripe and red, as you can see.
You definitely can tell that it's sweeter.
It's sweeter, yeah, that's a more ripe, more red cherry. When the tree has stopped producing coffee cherries for the season, it's gonna start letting out these stems where the flower comes out. Bees will come here and pollinate between the plants. So without bees, this ecosystem wouldn't survive. And that flower, once it's ready to leave in the next harvest season, cherries will come out there. And that's kind of how that works.
Wow. So for the tour, you cannot wear any jewelry, rings, accessories, anything that could fall down and get lost in coffee is a no-go. So my outfit today is very plain. My main accessory is the hairnet.
It's really interesting. So right outside the office here, they have the different ways in which that they used to process the coffee beans themselves. Starting out very early on, it's kind of the mortar and pestle type of system. Then you go to the more manual crank, and basically what it's doing is just breaking down the cherry and exposing the bean that we all love and appreciate. And we're gonna see more of that process and how they do it from a factory and large scale process.
The husk stays on the back here. We can use it to make tea or compost. Here, we're gonna use it to make compost that's gonna be used as a fertilizer for our farms.
The soil here up in the mountains, it's very rich and earthy, and that's what makes Dominican coffee so special. You can pick up on all the different types of flavors, and that's what makes the Dominican Republic unique. Their coffee has a different aroma as well as flavor characteristics based on where it's grown.
So these are gonna be sitting in here for about 40 to 50 days.
They call it the match state because it literally looks like the top of a match. Whenever you go to light a match, that's what it looks like. And it's actually the coffee bean itself at the very top. And then as soon as that coffee bean sprouts into a leaf, it's the butterfly because it literally sprouts into 2 leaves, which is really cool.
After we transplant these ones to the farm, there's gonna happen 2 to 3 years for the first harvest.
We're gonna plant some coffee here, and if you notice, the coffee bean itself is green, and it's a perfect shape. And you can see this one's already starting to split a little bit. How many can we put in there? Like that?
Yeah, like that time.
All right, I have now officially planted coffee.
We've moved just up the hill to the nursery here, and this is just so cool to see. So many tiny little coffee plants ready to be planted into the ground, or some that have just been, looks like potted, some that are 3 months old, and then some that are 9 months old. And where we're standing under here, there's a cheesecloth, which provides shade to the coffee plants because coffee is actually an undergrowth plant. They like shade, so it's really neat to see the full picture of how this works. We're gonna go back inside of the property here, which is the post-harvest production area, and it's what's known as the wet mill.
So when the coffee berries, or cherries as they're called, are harvested, they're harvested in the field and put in bags like this, or what I would know as a croaker sack, right? Then they are taken from here and dumped into this pool, or holding stage, if you will, and it's aged for anywhere from 2 to 3 days. From there, they will use water to wash it through to the back, where it's gonna go to then a floating process, where the quality cherries are going to fall to the bottom because they're heavy and full of nutrients. The ones that are not so great are gonna float to the top. And that's where they're going to separate the two, and it's the first real process of the quality control aspect of these berries.
What we're doing here, we are going to store the coffee out for the natural drying process in what we call African beds. This net ensures a constant airflow to the coffee both ways, because the coffee in cherry state is really moist, so it can develop any fungus. So we want to prevent that. The coffee is going to sit here for about 5 to 6 days before we send it to the drying tunnels. So this is the wash process, where we remove the mucilage. Over there you can see the honey process, and here you can see the natural drying process. They're gonna have different flavors, and we're gonna reach different profile of coffee. The wash process is gonna have a more balanced flavor. The honey process is gonna be a little bit sweeter and fruitier than the wash one. The natural drying process is gonna be even more fruitier, more sweeter, with more body, with a level of acidity that's higher.
A higher acidity, okay. So it's just like this?
So the circle, there we go.
All right.
Having fun?
Yeah.
So once we bring the coffee into the warehouse, we're going to remove this layer to release the coffee grain. This we're gonna use it in the compost area, or we're gonna use it as a fuel later on.
Okay.
Melvin was telling me that these guys who we see working around in here are actually just walking these tunnels every 20 to 30 minutes because they want to keep moving the coffee and make sure that it's turning around and everything's getting air so it can dry properly. If it doesn't dry properly, it is susceptible to spores and fungus and all kind of things that would really ruin a nice batch of coffee.
So we separate the compost in piles, and every process goes to one to another. And this last one is almost ready to go back to the farms to be fertilizing our soils and to make it really rich. This is really rich in nitrogens and other nutrients for the soil. So that's why we rather do this type of fertilization. And also we don't use any pesticides, as our coffee is completely organic.
So the interesting thing about coffee is that prior to it being roasted, it really just smells like another grain.
Yeah.
So I always find this stuff super interesting. Emily is reminding me that I feel that I look like a kid in a candy store, and it's because I come from a farming family. My grandfather was a watermelon farmer and in the state of Florida. My dad grew up cattle farming and as well as watermelons. And then my uncle has the one and only cigar tobacco farm in the state of Florida right now, called Florida Sungrown. And I helped plant the inaugural crop of that. So I find the farming as well as the production side of agricultural very fascinating, and I get excited about it.
Our mechanical dryers. This machine doesn't use any fuel, and the fuel that we're gonna use is the parchment that we removed from the coffee outside over there.
All right, so this is just sifting the coffee beans so we can see the different sizes, and it's just separating it, yep.
This is the wash process. It smells like clean, like olive.
Yeah,
And
it does. And it looks so pretty. Like
it looks really pretty and really green.
The smell of it is completely different than before.
Yeah.
Before it was very like grainy smelling
and dry.
and it like almost smells like horse feet or something like that. This
Smells really good.
smells much different.
Okay, so this monster of a machine behind me is the final process of the quality control. And it says on there, color y defectos, which means color and defect. So if there's any imperfections, it'll shoot air, the machine, to move the coffee bean out of the way. It then comes here, which is the final sorting, and it's sorting by hand. So they'll actually hire 22 women, 11 on one side, 11 on the other. And as you see, they're literally just sitting at this conveyor belt that's moving, and they're looking through it, they're sorting it. And after it comes through the machine over there, it's got about 10% of defects. And so what they're trying to do is get rid of all of that for the premium coffee. And after they're all said and done, the goal is to be only a 1 to 2% of defects in their coffee. Okay, so now I'm gonna try my hand at picking out the defects. And what I'm noticing, well, I knew it was a conveyor belt, but it doesn't stop. It doesn't slow down, so you gotta be watching carefully. I'm looking for anything that's maybe broken or misshapen. Yeah, I feel like I could really get down with this because I always loved I Spy as a kid. So to me, this just feels like a giant I Spy game.
And as you can see from here, you have a massive roaster over here that's gonna come out to a cooling tray. From there, it's gonna drop down, it's gonna go over to the bagging machine, and then that's where they're going to bag the different brands of coffee that they offer here.
So as I'm looking at the roaster in here, Melvin is telling me a little bit about it. They can process 120 kilograms at a time, which is basically 2 of the big croaker sacks, as Cole calls them. And depending on the client that they're roasting for, it's roasting for anywhere from 12 to 18 minutes. Okay guys, we're here in the quality control lab and we're about to have some fun and try this coffee. So I've got 28 grams here. I'm going to personally hand count every single bean here, and I want you at home to leave a comment for how many beans you think is in 1 ounce of coffee. And we're also gonna up the stakes. So if we get 1,000 comments on this video, the top 5 people who either get it right or get it close to being right, we're gonna send you some Adventure Cruise merch. So I'm gonna let you take a little peek here. How many beans do you think's in this?
Definitely different. A lot different.
Yeah.
Almost has a tea taste to it.
Yeah, a little.
It's not as bitter. It's smooth. Just when I thought the tour was over today, I've got a little extra special treat that we're gonna share with you.
The coffee you're going to experience today is from Don Mario's Reserve. Don Mario is my grandfather, and he's the original specialty coffee producer in the Dominican Republic, and to this day he still is a farmer, and we're going to experience that top 30 coffee and a little twist.
Oh man, I'm excited.
So all over the world, if you're going to experience a really high grade coffee that's above 90 points, which means it's just like top tiered industry level, you're going to do the pour over method, and the reason for that is the pour over allows you to control temperature, the ratio weight between the coffee and the water, and the time it takes to brew it. Important to smell it before you drink. They say if you don't smell what you eat or drink, you can't taste it. Have you ever had coffee like that?
Never.
No.
This is coffee.
This is coffee.
This is actually coffee.
So good.
Yeah.
It's got just on the very back end of the.
A little bit of Jarabacoa right here in this cup.
The rest of it is just smooth and
Guys, that is it for our Dominican Republic series. We are back on our boat.
Yeah, I hope you guys were able to see how much we enjoyed the Dominican Republic through our camera lens, because we had so much fun filming those videos.
We had such a great time. I literally cannot say one bad thing about the Dominican Republic. The people there are so welcoming, and I truly cannot wait to go back. But we have brought a little piece of the DR with us that we wanted to share with you.
That's right, so we have the Jarabacoa Cafe coffee, which was the coffee that we love the most out of the 3 that Ramirez Coffee Estate produces. And we thought, you know, it's one thing to show you guys the video, it's another thing to allow you to experience a little bit of that same video as well.
We have shipped 60 bags of this, to the United States. My grandmother does all of the fulfillment. She takes great pride in being our fulfillment person. She is ready to ship out these bags of coffee, and this was just a way for us to be able to support the farmers and to support the local community there in Jarabacoa. The experience really meant so much to us. Yeah. And this is also a way for you guys to support us in our travels. We make, you know, just a few dollars off of this. And moving forward, as we have opportunities like this to be able to share experiences with you in a physical way, we hope to be able to do that as we continue on our travels. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have a coffee fanatic in your life, be sure to share it with them. I'm sure they will be very interested to see how coffee is literally produced from the tree to the cup. And we will see you next week as we are now back on the boat and traveling to Puerto Rico.